Hello, everyone. We're ready to start soon. We'll give a few more minutes for people to arrive. Thanks for arriving. This is going to be a webinar about relocating to a new startup ecosystem. Yeah, let's give people 2 or 3 more minutes, and we're ready to start. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. By the way, before we start, if you want to introduce yourself in the chat, let us know where are you from, what are you working on, where are you thinking to relocate. That would be great, especially for the topic for today. Relocation is really all about our future plans and our future dreams and considerations. So do share in the chat with us. Where do you plan to relocate? What are you thinking about? What are your main questions? By the way, you can also customize a little bit this webinar according to your main questions and what you care about when relocating. And we'll be starting in 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so we're ready to go. Yeah, let's jump into it. If you have questions during this presentation, feel free to send it to us in the chat, in the Q&A button, and we'll get to it as soon as possible. See that we have someone from Israel, Ayuli, and Iran will join us to present Gibraltar very soon. He's also with us, so that's great. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the agenda for today. So first of all, we're going to start with a quick introduction about what Startup Link is up to, what are we doing exactly. Then we're going to talk about why should you consider relocating, the benefits and so on. Talk a little bit about presenting a few startup ecosystems that might be relevant for you as you're thinking about relocating. Maybe mention a little bit the challenges of relocation as well. And then the interesting part of introducing a few startup ecosystems that we really love and recommend to relocate. Those are startup ecosystems that also want you to relocate to them with some benefits and grants and so on. So we're going to talk about all of this very soon. I see that we have also Mustafa from Istanbul, so welcome. It's great. And anyone that wants to introduce himself in the chat, feel free. And if you have questions, once again, feel free as well. A little bit about our company. So we're working on Startup Link, a global startup ecosystem map that is open for everyone at a research center. Startup Link is ranking the ecosystems of 1,000 cities and 100 countries. So we're in a very good position to tell you what are the most interesting startup ecosystems to relocate to. So that's a little bit about what we do. And yeah, switch to talk a little bit about why a startup ecosystem matter, or why each and every one of us should really dedicate quite some time to figure out if we're in the right place for our startup. So I will tell you that both unicorns, which are startups that are valued above $1 billion, or self-funded startups, are mostly born, raised, developed, and exit and being successful in startup ecosystem hubs in successful cities. According to some statistics that we just found this week, 49% of the unicorns in the world are located in only 5 cities. Now, those cities have the same IQ level, people there, than any other city in the world. And there are many, many thousands of cities around the world. The question arrives, why is it that those 5 cities have half of all the massive startups in the world? The answers we're going to give you in a second. Why does it happen? But the short story is when you're in the right place, success just follows you. Things are happening. There is a rolling snowball in a way that a right place wins in a way. And by the way, you can see it also on companies. Usually there is one company or a few companies that totally dominate a field. For example, Facebook is dominating social media and so on. There aren't that many Facebooks. The reason is that there are a few winners in the world. And what our advice to you is basically make sure that you are in a winner, that you're living in a winner, that you're working on your business in a winner city. Basically, depending on your goals and what you want to achieve in life and the style of startup that you want to have, but just make sure that you're in a good place. We are always saying the following. If your startup ecosystem is underperforming, you can either leave it or lead it. But by leave it, I mean relocate. By leading it, I mean take control and arrange meetups and kind of really actively support the growth of your startup ecosystem. But do not stay in an underperforming startup ecosystem. That's basically the worst thing that you want to do is staying in a place that is underperforming, that you really go to the street and say to yourself, there's nothing here. I'm kind of unique in what I'm trying to build and nobody understands me and there are not that many activities. You do not want to stay in those places, especially in places, by the way, where governments, where your local government does not even understand what are startups or is not supporting startups. If you're in a place that the private sector is not there and the public sector is not there and you want to be successful, do yourself a favor, think about relocating. So that's a little bit about that. I will just say that the startup link, you can go to startuplink.com, the map and everything I'm going to talk about is free. So you can consume all those resources for free. In report.startuplink.com, you would also be able to read a 330 pages report about all the conclusions that we have about where to go if you have a startup. So that's important. And you have interactive leaderboards. This is a screenshot from the leaderboards on the map. So it's all available for you to look at. So that's the idea. Now, a little bit about do you need to relocate? Okay, so what are the indications or what should you basically do? So the idea is to, first of all, analyze your current startup ecosystem. How does it perform? One of the best thing you can do is go to Startup Link. The ranking tables are there. They're free, 1,000 cities. You would see the momentum of your city. You would see where it is ranked. And then you would understand if it makes sense to relocate or not. And that's an important phase, first of all, to understand if there is a need. If you're, once again, I'm going to say again, are you in a winner location? Because winner locations create winner entrepreneurs. And a lot of us do not understand that. A lot of us think that it really depends on us. And if we just work hard and so on, but we'll talk a little bit about the unique benefits that good startup ecosystems offer. And hopefully that would give you a little bit of indication of why should you consider moving to a place, although you might be now in your comfort zone, in your golden cage, let's say, that everything is great still. And we will encourage you to take the leap. I do want to say that when you analyze your startup ecosystem, you can do it on the rankings. You can also do it per industry. And that's important to say. Some startup ecosystems generally are not that great startup ecosystems, but when you look at a specific industry, they're extremely well. So, for example, if you're doing a startup that has to do with robotics, one of your options would be a small city in Denmark called Odense. Odense is a very small city, relatively insignificant startup ecosystem, but a very, very strong robotics industry of startups there, tech parks that are dedicated to robotics. So the idea is that you also have to consider what is it that you do. Fortunately, in Startup Link as well, there are ranking tables that you can change below that shows you the results per industry as well. So it really depends also on what you do. Then the second step would be to analyze the problems you're facing. Like why are you stuck? Let's say, why is your startup stuck? In many cases, just by switching to another location, you can get that unstuck. So for example, if you're stuck because there is no access to investors and you can't get investors, moving to a different location might do the trick. If you're stuck because you have no talent around you that you can hire or no potential co-founders, that will also do the trick. If you're stuck because you need a grant to start with, same. So relocation is not the magic, let's say, answer to all your problems. Nothing is at the end of the day. But sometimes just by changing an environment and just by changing a location, you can solve a lot of your problems that you think are kind of like has to do with you, and they don't. They just have to do with where you are. So we're like fanatics of convincing people for changing location. You can probably figure it out. And then the last step would be probably to choose a location. You basically do a short list of locations within your limitations and your preferences. We're going to talk about this as well. And by the way, not only connected to the startup ecosystem performance, but also to your own personal preferences that have to do with quality of life, budgets, and so on, your vertical, your industry, and so on. And based on that, the language that you speak, and based on that, you can choose a good ecosystem. I do want to say, not everyone has to be in San Francisco. You're going to see in the rankings that I will show you soon that San Francisco is definitely the first one, but definitely not the first choice if you're not trying to conquer the world. It's a relatively expensive, politically correct ecosystem that makes it very difficult for a lot of people that are living it. But then again, if you want to build a startup of the highest quality in the world and become the next Facebook, probably San Francisco is still your place. But it doesn't mean that all of us want to be in this place. So that's why it's so important to have a variety of options. And that's what we have with our 1,000 cities that are ranked there, because we know that you have limitations and every one of us has to operate within a few limitations as well. So that's good. I see in the chat that Musa and Yuli already did networking, which is great. Good that we can do networking online as well. So that's good stuff. We always say that the best networking is offline. So hopefully you guys can meet as well. Okay, so some of the benefits of relocation. The first one is a summary of all the benefits. Basically, it's expansion of your network, but then again, also, we talked about this before, success attracts success. You go to a place where things are happening and more things are happening and more things are happening. There is only one Facebook. Everyone arrives there. They don't go to other platforms. The good startup ecosystems are opening the doors to opportunities that you can't plan for. And that's really the tragedy of being in a bad startup ecosystem. You would never know what you miss out on. And that's critical. Like the things that you will receive gifts, random gifts out of nowhere, just by being in the right place. And if you're in the wrong place, you would not feel the damage because you would not receive those gifts, but you will not expect them as well. But I'm telling you, being in the right place basically creates a lot of unexpected gifts that are changing the trajectory of your business. One of them would be co-founders and team. One of the most important things that we have when we build a startup are high quality people to be our co-founders, to be our team. The chances are that they're in places like London, Tel Aviv, Berlin, and so on, and are not in relatively small locations that are underperforming with no startup ecosystem. So the people around you are critical. They are more people that are thinking, breathing startups in those hubs. That's something to think about. The second one, the one more thing would be investors and grants. Investors are only in a few locations around the world. That's the sad truth of it. It's usually the capital city, but sometimes not even there. You sometimes have to go to another country. But if you're looking for the really big investors, they're probably only in 10 cities around the world. So take this into account, relocate. For investors, you must relocate. If you think that your business needs massive investment, many of us don't, by the way, and thank God we don't, because investors are a pain sometimes. But if you think that you need massive investment, you really have 10 cities that you have to choose from. Like there is no other option. You're just going to waste your time in other locations. By the way, connected to that also grants. There are many, many interesting grants around the world given by governments, university, corporates, and so on. Most of them are based on a location. So that's one very strong reason to think about relocate. Other reasons, emotional support. Building a startup is incredibly difficult. There is a lot of pressure. You go 2 steps back, 1 step forward all the time. Emotional roller coaster of mania depressia. And if you're in a small place where entrepreneurs are not being appreciated, where your friends are telling you, what are you doing? Get a 9-to-5 job already. You will break, regardless of how strong you are. And that's why we also say that there is much more emotional support in locations that celebrate entrepreneurship, that are getting things done, that are people that are really excited about it, that even accept failure at some capacity. If you're not in a place like that, it's a good indication that you should probably move as well. Updated knowledge. There are some ecosystems that have lots of meetups and events and conferences. And just by going there, you can really see what is working, mentors and so on. So there is cutting edge knowledge in locations where things are happening, that have good startup ecosystems. For example, Tel Aviv, before the pandemic, every day you could choose about 3 different events that you could go to and just learn from the best of the industry. San Francisco, the same. Boston, the same. New York, the same. London, the same. So you want to be in a place like that. 100%. By the way, in those places, you're also going to meet the people that are most relevant to you. One more reason would be clients and suppliers. Clients find it difficult to take risk on startups. They never know if you're going to close. It's a new product. It has bugs and so on. In startup cities, it's much more easier to get clients that are more open-minded to the risks, but also the major opportunities of betting on a startup. I want to tell you that, especially if you're doing something that is B2B, business to business, meeting people face-to-face creates a lot more trust than meeting them on the cloud, and doing business is easier when you're in a place where your clients are. Same for suppliers, high-quality suppliers that you meet in those meetups, communities, and so on. Having someone working as a supplier or team member of high quality would greatly change your chances of success. Now, that's an example of Silicon Valley. Basically, again, Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco, eBay, LinkedIn, Oracle, all those headquarters are there. I think actually Microsoft is in Seattle, but there is a reason why so much is happening in San Francisco. It's basically the Mecca. One person goes, everyone goes. And that's the beauty of high quality startup ecosystem. Shopify is an interesting example of a startup that we really like the story. Is basically Toby, the CEO, is a German founder, and he has relocated to Canada and now has built an empire of $200 billion. So this is the reasons, by the way, why governments are chasing entrepreneurs so much, because they know that one entrepreneur arriving out of nowhere can open a company that is worth $200 billion. Imagine the impact on the economy and everything. So that's a great story about why there is now a talent fight by governments that are really fighting on talented people to move to their ecosystem. We're now in a really privileged situation that governments are waking up and understanding that they really need your talent. And they create a lot of grants and other basically programs to attract you and to give you as many benefits as possible. So you will choose them specifically. Startup Link, by the way, is working with about 80 of those governments. So I'll tell you later how we can help you a little bit to connect with them and the grants as well. And yeah, I'll just say a little bit about us. We're basically a remote team. We're scattered in Israel and all over Europe. Currently, I'm in Cadiz in Spain. We have people in France and Romania, and in Hungary, and many other locations in Greece. I'll just tell you that although we're a remote team, the opportunities are local. Wherever we go, wherever, for example, I'm in Cadiz now, then I'm doing meetings with potential clients from governments in Cadiz and so on and so on. So the idea is that we always are aware that wherever we are, we take advantage of and we connect to the ecosystem, because this is critical. Pick a good place, you have good opportunities to progress. Now, about which startup ecosystem fits you the best. So I'll do a very, very quick summary for those who are tired and do not want to read a report of 330 pages. Once again, report.startuplink.com. You would find a complete report of everything you need to know about those ecosystems and the 1,000, list of 1,000. I'll sum it up for you. Those are the top 10 ecosystems in the world. Some of them are international, some of them are incredibly national and closed as well. So you want to go to just by being in the top 10 or in the top 20 doesn't mean you have to be there. You have to also figure out if you want to operate within a local market. So for example, you can see over here, also in the total score, San Francisco is still the queen of startup ecosystems, 3 times higher than anyone else in total score. Absolute mecca. Although I have to say, losing a little bit of power in the last 3 years. They used to be 5 times, according to our research. Now they're only 3 times. Still the strongest, will be the strongest for a very long time, but losing velocity. Other than that, New York, a great startup ecosystem. Beijing at number 3 and Shanghai at number 7. Great ecosystems, but only if you build things for the Chinese market. Do not go there if you want to build a global startup, which means do not go there because probably you don't know Chinese and you can't really, and there is a preference for Chinese entrepreneurs as well, but a great ecosystems. Los Angeles at number 4, London at number 5. London is the only non-Chinese or US ecosystem that is in the top 5. It's a really global ecosystem that is super recommended if you can go, also easy on the language. Boston at number 6, Tel Aviv in Israel at number 8, Moscow, a great ecosystem, but once again, very dominating in the Russian market. If you want to build something to the outside, Moscow is not necessarily your best choice. If you want to build something for the Russian market, Moscow is basically your only choice. And Bangalore. Also Bangalore, a relatively ecosystem that targets the Indian market, not the global market. So you can see here the strengths of the ecosystem, but then again, you have to make your choice about your specific, let's say, according to your specific preferences. This is in Europe. We talked about that some cities we haven't talked about. Paris, really strong at number 11. Berlin, a great ecosystem at number 13. Stockholm, number 5 in Europe, and a very upcoming ecosystem. You can see here great momentum as well, the best ecosystem, the best momentum of increasing 5 spots. Other than that, you have a few very interesting cities like Amsterdam, Barcelona, great lifestyle in Barcelona, Munich, Helsinki, and Madrid. So those are the top ecosystems in case you're in Europe. In case you're in Asia, you would probably want to, oops, actually, I think I left my presentation, just a second. I'll tell you a little bit about Asia in the meantime as I'm charging it. So basically, the top ecosystem in Asia are in China. Once again, if you're not planning for the Chinese market, it's probably not your best, let's say, pick. But there are some very interesting ecosystems in Asia as well. One of them is Singapore. Singapore is becoming a major hub. And I think that we have to make sure that like if you want to expand in the region of Asia, Singapore would be one of your best bets. Other than that, you have strong Indian ecosystems, once again targeted at the Indian market, not necessarily a good place to relocate as a foreigner. Tokyo is a strong ecosystem, which is relatively global. So you recommended Tokyo, Yokohama, great locations for ecosystem development. And also there is Seoul in South Korea. And I will also say that Taipei in Taiwan is a very welcoming startup ecosystem, beautiful place, and totally recommended, upcoming in the list for Asia. North America, I you see all of them are American cities, of course, because it's only America and Canada, but San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Seattle, Chicago, Austin, which is really an interesting ecosystem recently, Washington, DC, San Diego, and Toronto on the top 10. Those are your ecosystems. If you want to build something really, really big, those are the ones you should really consider. The USA is still the epicenter of startup ecosystems globally. Those are the ecosystems in the Middle East. Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, two great ecosystems. Dubai, upcoming, really interesting ecosystem that has been increasing in strength constantly. So Dubai is a very interesting place. Lagos is number one in Africa, and a lot of things are happening there, but mostly for the Nigerian market. Nairobi in Kenya, the same, mostly for the Kenyan market. A few great ecosystems in South Africa, Cape Town and Johannesburg, and Cairo in Egypt as well. All of those are interesting ecosystems in Africa and the Middle East. Once again, Startup Link also has analysis per industry. So you have to take into account also what is the industry of your startup. You will see that some of the results totally change. For example, in software and data, you would see that Seattle is in the top 10, for example. So a great place to go to if you're doing software and data. If you're focused on e-commerce, Paris is now number 8 in the world. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve and again, what industry you're from. So we recommend that you have a look also on those industry rankings as well. I do want to tell you, doing relocation, of course, has its costs. So some of the costs are mentioned here. There are language barriers, quality of life, pollution, cost of living, different attitudes and behaviors, different ways of registering a business, closing a business, social security mess, financial reporting, regulation that might not allow you to do the things that you want to do. And maybe lack of infrastructure like co-working spaces, like accelerators and so on, events, maybe you're going to be alone there. So really pick carefully to avoid many of those challenges. It's really important to pick carefully because moving to a new place is difficult. You know, it's kind of like it's something that's a new beginning. So you want to make sure that you made the right choice with as little as possible challenges on the way. Some resources. So first of all, I do want to tell you, we at Startup Link, because we're connected with so many resources from private sector, from the public sector about relocation, we're giving free relocation advice. So if you go to relocation.startuplink.com, and maybe someone can put it in the chat as well, that would be great from our team, if we have someone for here. Relocation.startuplink.com is a great resource. You can just leave your name, tell us a little bit about your situation. If we can help, we'll try to connect you with the most relevant opportunities in the places where you think about going. So once again, relocation.startuplink.com, we'll repeat this link more and more. Some things that we recommend. First of all, have a look at Startup Link Map and Report to make decisions. Other than that, some other sites that we really like. Nomad List is a good site for figuring out where to go, mostly in terms of quality of life. Expatistan is a great place to do cost of living comparisons. So you want to arrive prepared, basically. So going over all of those sites and doing a little bit of research is always good, right? So try to do that. And yeah, now we're going to do a quick transition into talking a little bit about a few ecosystems that we really like. We're going to start with the ecosystem of Gibraltar, where I'm not so far away from. I'm in Cadiz now, talking for about 3 minutes about what's interesting there. Then we're going to do Canary Islands, Taiwan, and Kyoto. I do want to tell you that if you're interested in one of those ecosystems, once again, we will connect you. Relocation.startuplink.com. Just leave your details there, and we'll be in touch. I will just say before that one of the things that we also can connect you to and think that is relevant for you is that if you're not ready yet to go to an ecosystem and do a complete change, there are some solutions in the way that can help you still achieve your goals and expand. One of those those solutions allow you to also hire people as employees by another company that basically hires them for you. and be in a situation that you have a company that provides you with legal knowledge and legal advice, and also hires people for you as employees. So if you're interested to learn more about those solutions and the ecosystems that we're going to present, once again, relocation.startuplink.com. Tell us about your situation. We will connect you. And yeah, that's my part for now. So let's start with the beautiful ecosystem of Gibraltar, and then we will transition to the other ecosystems as well. So Eran, I'm going to invite you as a speaker. So just a second.
Okay, are you hearing me? Just.
Hey, Eran, yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, let me just my video. How can you let me open the video as well?
That's a great question. I think you should. Just a second. Let me actually promote Catherine so she can help us with because apparently the video is blocked. So let's see, how do we open it? Just a minute. I think I might know. Just a second. So Catherine, I'm gonna give you the host. So actually, I'm not sure we have a video here. So Eran, go. You have
anyway,
a presentation?
I'll start anyway. Well, thank you very much, Amy, for giving me this opportunity. You're not too far away from us now, about 100 kilometers away. We're in southern Spain, and Gibraltar, yes, it's at the very southernmost point in the Iberian Peninsula. My name is Eran Shai. I head up Benefit Business Solutions, which is a business consultancy firm, which is operating from here in Gibraltar. For many of you, perhaps Gibraltar has never been on the radar, and that's not surprising. I mean, Gibraltar has been one of Europe's most hidden and best kept secrets. Yet, nevertheless, Gibraltar has a fantastic ecosystem here. I mean, it's not as big as in many of the big cities and big countries, of course, but as they say, small things, good things come in small packages, and Gibraltar is obviously a tiny place, only 34,000 people, over 7 square kilometers. Now, the advantages of being in relocating to such a small
I'm sorry, Ron. I tried the video now. It should be working. Let's see if it works.
Sorry. You cannot start the video because the host is stopped.
Sorry.
Anyway, I'll continue and we'll see if it would work later. But the main advantage, obviously, in such a small place is that many processes that take a long time in the big countries can be done here much quicker. There are not many bureaucratic levels, and so there is quick access to top decision makers, be it in the government or in the private sector. And there is not many barriers to entry. So, for example, here in Gibraltar, there is hardly a domestic high-tech sector. Everything that is consumed here is actually imported from the outside, and hence there is a big advantage for companies that would set up here, because basically they would dominate the market here, the local market, very quickly. In terms of when there are no specific, as I say, kind of grants and incentives as such for startups, Gibraltar offers the most tax attractive regime in the whole of Europe. So corporate tax here is only 12.5%, and any income which is generated from outside Gibraltar is tax-free. So basically your company would be operating from here, but all the savings will be done in other countries, in the big markets, and hence you'll be able to bring the profits with no tax back to Gibraltar. There is no capital gains tax here, no tax on investment income, no tax on dividends, no VAT, no inheritance tax, no wealth tax. So, these in itself provide great incentives both for entrepreneurs and for the investors that come with them, because it allows greater returns for the investors at the end of the day. The main dominant sectors, verticals here are the online gaming, is the online gaming industry, which Gibraltar actually accounts for 60% of the entire online gaming market in the world. Some of the top, most of the top operators in this space are based here in Gibraltar, employing thousands of people and obviously attracting a whole range of ecosystem of innovative companies around them. Another big sector which has evolved in recent years has been the crypto and blockchain sectors. Again, Gibraltar has been one of the first jurisdictions in the world to provide a regulatory framework for crypto companies, and there is an entire sophisticated ecosystem here for crypto companies, as well as banks that are accepting crypto proceeds, and obviously on other range of service providers that are able to support crypto businesses, be it some of the biggest exchanges in the world, again, have set up here in Gibraltar, and it's a very dominant sector. Now, in terms of our involvement with most of the startups, we assist them with their setup here. We advise them on throughout the relocation process. Actually, my partner has wrote the book Relocation, Darling Relocation, which I put the link down there in the chat box for any of you. It's proved to be a very popular book among many expats around the world and relocating people. And basically, my main message is put Gibraltar on your radar. It's a place which combines a great lifestyle and at the same time enables you to put your foot in the door, as they say, in a very easygoing place. And from here, you would be able to expand very rapidly to the bigger markets, because many of the things that are approved here in Gibraltar are basically can then be accepted in the rest of the European markets, and of course the UK market, as Gibraltar is a British territory. So that's it from me. I've put my details there in the chat. Anyone that want to get in touch with, feel free. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you, Ran. Thanks. Sorry for the problems with the video, but great presentation. I will just say that Gibraltar is a very interesting place. Not a lot of people know about it, and some great things are happening. There are great companies as well, great grants, great benefits. There is such a great advantage, by the way, in being in an ecosystem that is small and can move fast instead of those that have a lot of regulation and laws and so on. So I absolutely recommend it. And if you also want to connect to Iran, you can also at relocation.starlink.com leave your details. We'll connect you to whoever you need to connect to with you in Gibraltar. So Ran, thanks so much for being with us today. Super.
My pleasure. Thank you, Eli.
Great. So let me just quickly tell you a little bit about the first ecosystem, or actually I'm going to leave it to Catherine to introduce all our ecosystems, if that's okay. So Catherine is working, Catherine is our partnership manager. She's working with dozens of startup ecosystems around the world. And she can tell you about the most interesting ones that we currently identified. If you want to connect with any of them, relocation.starlink.com will do the connection, try to give you some advice about where should you go and what are the best opportunities for you. So Catherine, I'm giving you the stage. Thank you.
Hello. Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Catherine. I'm the Partnerships Manager of Startup Link, like Ali said. I'll just quickly share my screen. Yes, hopefully you can see my screen now. So the first ecosystem that we will be introducing is the Canary Islands ecosystem. So the benefits of relocating to the Canary Islands is it's really great weather. So you're still in the EU, but you get the great weather of not like winter time. A lot of Europeans go to the Canary Islands during the winter for this reason. And why not set up your own startup there and have the EU benefits, but still being in a great environment? It also has great tax benefits. So currently it has the lowest corporate tax rate of 4%. It also has really great R&D tax credits. It has 75.6% with cashback options for bootstrap startups. It also has a low cost of living, and two strong ecosystems. So in the next slides, I will show you those ecosystems. So the first ecosystem is, of course, Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. It's currently ranked 5th in Spain, so that's their national ranking, and 225th in the world. That's up by 4 points from their last rankings from our 2020 report. The top industries for Las Palmas are transportation. It's ranked 109th worldwide, and social and leisure 144th worldwide, and last is e-commerce and retail 154th worldwide. The second ecosystem is Santa Cruz de Tenerife. It's 6th nationally in Spain, and it's ranked 245th globally. The top industries in Santa Cruz are marketing and sales, education, and social and leisure. So maybe Ellie can also speak a bit about these two ecosystems, since he moved, he will stay there for a while, if available.
Yeah, I'll just mention about those ecosystems that now I have a video problem, but I'll just mention that if you want to be in constant summer, great temperature. By the way, Gibraltar is not bad at all for summer as well. It's really in the south, but the Canary Islands are better, unfortunately. So better than everything that is in Europe. Great weather, great, by the way, support by the government. The government really wants you to arrive to the ecosystem. They would meet you. They would greet you, they would connect you. If you want to connect with them, again, relocation.starlink.com. Beautiful ecosystems, great quality of life, relatively cheap for Spain standards, and a lot of foreign entrepreneurs there. I will also say a massive hub for digital nomads. So if you're a digital nomad, the Canary Islands is also one of the best places. So back to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Ellie. So the next ecosystem that we're going to present is the Taiwanese ecosystem. So Taiwan is, as Ellie already mentioned a while ago, it's very open, and they're very open to foreign entrepreneurs to set up their business in Taiwan. So just some general things about Taiwan. It's currently the world leader in health and also hardware and IoT. Later on in the slide, I will show you the rankings as well on the Startup Link industry rankings. It has a strong role in the global high-tech ecosystem. It has strong government support for startups and has close links to Silicon Valley. In particular, they have the Taiwan Gold Card, which allows foreigners to reside in Taiwan, to work in Taiwan, and also to set up their business in Taiwan for 1 to 3 years. And there's no need for sponsorship for this scheme of their for this visa. So you can just it can be acquired online actually, and you can know more about this scheme as well through reaching out to us on relocation.startuplink.com. Looking at the rankings of Taiwan on the Startup Link map, so we see that it's actually 4th in East Asia, and it's 26th worldwide, increasing by 4 spots. Top industries are hardware and IoT, which is 14th, they're 14th in the world, and also health, they're 15th in the world. Aside from that, Startup Link also just released the coronavirus resilience innovation map, where Taiwan also overperformed there. They're currently ranked 9th in the world in this index. You can look at this index through coronavirus.startuplink.com. Looking at the top cities of Taiwan, so of course, Taipei City is the first ecosystem in Taiwan. It's ranked 41st in the world, but there are also up-and-coming cities like Hsinchu, Taoyuan, Tainan, and Taichung. So those cities are also getting a lot of government investment and help. So because they want to decentralize Taipei. So it's also a great idea to discover those cities if you're looking to relocate. The last ecosystem is Kyoto. So Kyoto won the best big city in the world in 2020, and it's also a great student town. So it's great for you if you're looking for employment or people who you like to employ. We have 38 universities, and most of those universities are focused on the STEM courses. Benefits for relocation. Kyoto is an ideal place to relocate if your startups are in the industries of health, energy and environment, hardware and IoT as well. A great initiative from Kyoto is the Startup Visa. So their Startup Visa allows entrepreneurs to work and establish their business in Kyoto. And it's an expedited visa, so you will get your visa quicker than usual if you took the usual route of entrepreneurs. Yeah, and these are some just great insights from Kyoto that you can find on startuplink.com. So Kyoto is the second biggest ecosystem right now in Taiwan, and it's ranked 124th globally. And they jumped a lot from our 2020 report. They jumped by 127 spots. The top industries in Kyoto are health, where they're 14th in the world, energy and environment, where they're 99th in the world, and also hardware and IoT. I think, yeah, that's all. And again, if you're interested in any of those ecosystems or any other ecosystem in the world, and you need advice on relocation, just reach out to us on relocation.startuplink.com, and we'll definitely reach out back to you and set up a call. I'll give the floor again to Ellie.
Yeah, so everyone really enjoyed having you with us. I see that we have a question from Mustafa that is asking about, he's in Turkey, he wants to know if in order to get a VC money from the US, does he have to move to the US or can he stay in Turkey? You cannot stay in Turkey. You have to go to the US 100%, not 99%. Investors invest in people that are not in exotic location. Every location outside of the US is exotic for US investors. Go to the US if this is your plan, 100%. So the advice that you got is indeed correct. And that's basically it, guys. Once again, and girls, relocation.startuplink.com. If you want to connect, you want us to give you a little bit of resources, stay tuned. We're going to do more events soon on a monthly basis. Yeah, thanks for attending. Pick the right place. Very, very important. Do not stay in a bad place. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aaron and Ellie. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ellie, and hope to see you here soon.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Bye.
Take care.